No.
Oh, Mark's gone?
All right, it's on.
Okay. All right, so run back up then, or?
No, I would just say here. All right, I'm gonna take it into. Let me see if it pulls
You guys
up.
are gonna go to a different room then?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to stay in a different room so I can hear you.
Okay.
Let's see if it springs up there. I don't know why it's not coming up. Still has his live, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's counting.
All right. I'm gonna see if she. I'll come back in a second. I'm gonna see if she's on.
Okay. Okay. Can you? Well, lighting's not great, but we'll go with it. All right. So obviously, testing. I guess you guys can hear me okay. Get my mindset here. Hey, welcome everybody to our first live YouTube chat. This is new for us. We're working our way through it. We appreciate the great turnout. We really want to thank you for your support. We will bear some forgiveness as we're working through this, and I'll speak for myself on the chat side. If there is any questions you'd have, I'd ask that you'd hold them off to the end so I can stay focused on this, and then at the end we'll go back and I'll read out the questions, and we will go from there. So let's start. So this 5-part series is going to look at how the body has to move to make it a proper golf swing. In the intro video that I had, I talked about chain reaction biomechanics. Now I'm hoping that everybody on this feed has had a chance to look at that video. I don't want to go through all the details of that, but they are important concepts. If you haven't, we'll get through today's and then you can pick up tomorrow, take a look at that. But the whole idea of this whole chain reaction biomechanics, when I take my club around and I go to make a turn, the movement of my hands turns my shoulder, turns my spine, turns my pelvis, turns my legs all the way right down to my feet. Okay. So again, that's that chain reaction we're talking about. Now the foot's an important component of that. Let me just start off with the real basic fundamentals of the foot. So Da Vinci had called the foot a marvel of engineering and a beautiful work of art. And in that he's correct. It really is truly amazing. There's 206 bones in the body and 26 of them reside in the foot. So you're talking like over 10%. The foot is designed to absorb gravity. It's to absorb our body into the ground. Again, we talked in that first opening video about gravity, ground reaction, and momentum. So the thing about this is the thing about the foot is that it's a great shock absorber. It comes in, it's going to absorb the shock. Now in gait, we're talking now as you're walking, I step, my foot hits the ground, absorbs the shock. The other leg swings through. It spins these bones, resets them in a manner that now makes it a firm lever to push off of. So that's the general biomechanics of how this foot works in gait. Now, obviously in golf, when we're swinging, we are not walking. So the mechanics are going to vary a little bit. And before I break down, so let me just tell you a little bit further in the chain mechanics, what got me so interested in the foot and this whole understanding of biomechanics and chain reaction. I had a friend who was a strength coach for the Chicago White Sox, and they had a pitcher, one of the big high-name pitchers, ripped up his elbow, had to have Tommy John surgery, and they rehabbed him, was doing fine, started throwing again, and as he started getting up his velocity, pain started coming back. Went back to rehab, went through the whole process. Every time he tried to get back up on the pitcher mound, he could not get through without having pain. So they brought the guy who turned out to be my mentor in to check him out. He assessed him, and in the end, he came back. He said his big toe won't bend up. Now, the human big toe should be able to bend up to about 65 degrees. In gait, we only need about 30, but through other motions, it needs a little bit more. In the case of this baseball pitcher, his big toe wasn't bending up. Now, the Chicago White Sox, staff are like, is this guy out of his mind? He has an elbow issue. How is his big toe the cause? And a simple explanation was, in baseball, when a pitcher gets up over their foot, they've got to get their weight over, and that big toe has got to be able to bend to get to get their weight to the forefoot. He couldn't do it, which means he was still in a little bit of a rock back position. When an arm is internally rotating at 5,000 to 6,000 degrees per second, you don't have to be off by much to create problems. And that was what did it. So, of course, that intrigued me to understand this better. Now, in the golf swing, we're going to talk about how the foot has to be able to integrate with the ground and hold its stable position. As we're talking about that a little further, what I want to kind of get that point across is that the foot, if you walked into a room and you hit the switch and the light didn't come on, what are your two assumptions? You got to assume that the switch was bad or the light bulb was bad, and it could be both. Well, in the human motion, the foot is the light switch. Foot hits the ground and it turns on the light, which is the big hip and butt muscles. So in order for us to engage these big, powerful butt muscles in our swing, because that's where your power is coming from, the foot's interaction with the ground means a lot. So what I'm going to do is now, in order to break this down, we're going to take the camera, and I have to move the camera down to the ground. So I'm going to, just for a quick second, get out of there. All right, so now you should have a visual of my feet. And for tomorrow's sake, I will be barefoot. All right, so now, again, looking at the foot, and I'm going to turn to the camera here. The motion that we're talking about primarily is this motion here. In our technical parlance, we call it ankle dorsiflexion. Now, in order to set up over a golf ball, the camera can't see my hips, but I'm set up like if I was holding a wedge. And in this position, there's a little bit of forward shin position, not much. Very few people have trouble getting into that position where the calf is concerned. But on the backswing, as I start turning, and I'm going to come back in this angle, as I start making my turn, now my arms are going, you'll notice that in this case, fix that camera angle a little bit. I'm going to follow the right leg, the trail side leg in my case, as I'm right-handed. I'm going to make my turn. Notice how this shin starts moving over the foot more. So the shin has to be able to move over the foot more. And yet the foot is also what we call inverting. The pressure of me turning into this hip is turning this foot out. Now, often when we're watching golfers and assessing, we watch them make a turn. We look for that. Is that foot driving out? Now, oftentimes that's being driven from the hip or the thoracic spine. But that is a telltale sign to how well they can load. If I turn and my foot can't hold the ground and I turn out, I've got no load up in my butt. The ability to turn this hip into internal rotation is taken away. So we're going to ask the foot. Now, Harvey Penick always taught you take the instep and you just kind of plant that into the ground. So now as I'm turning and I'm holding the instep down, I turn, I create that tension. This knee is going to move forward a little bit, but it's moving forward over a foot, like I mentioned, is turning out. And that's a whole different feeling than if you look at this foot. Now, this is my downside leg. As this is, notice as this knee moves back forward, it's because when the foot's moving in. This is an easier motion than this. And when we find people who are often blocked up, it's because they can't get that over. So a couple of things we're going to do for that is looking about how we're going to mobilize and how we stretch it. So one of the first things we can talk about is just generally how we lengthen that calf out. And anyway, was that good enough? You guys can hear me okay? You want me to keep going? Is that enough? No, I just see Patrick's.
I told her the same thing. I don't know why I can't read hers either. But yeah, you're good.
Everything was okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll just have to adjust the lighting in here tomorrow.
So I
then
wonder if we should just go in the back deck if it's sunny.
and the stream.
If it's sunny, we